Welcome everyone, I'm Nick, giving you the best relationship advice here on YouTube with 10 years of clinical experience, 30 years of research to back up what I'm saying, to give you the best possible advice to help your relationship grow and become more satisfying. That's something that you want to happen and you find interesting, please stick around and enjoy the rest of this video. Today in this video, we're gonna go over something extremely important. Please listen. Power posing for you, so you listen even more. We're gonna go over the negative cycle, the thing that you always do whenever you have a problem in your marriage, in your relationship with whomever. The negative cycle that you're gonna be in goes something like this. Somebody says something, somebody does something that brings up this memory, that brings up this feeling, and it causes you to react to them. And when you react, they react, and you guys just go back and forth in this never-ending cycle of hurting each other and never resolving the situation. Before we figure out how to stop that though, we need to kind of dive into how the cycle works and how we can kind of put it into little manageable pieces so that way you can actually stop it. So now that we're getting into this negative cycle, this negative dance that the couples do, let's explain a little bit how it works and why it's so easy to get into it. We find ourselves in these negative patterns of negative thoughts, feelings, and actions. We interact with our partner's reactions, creating a never-ending negative dance, negative cycle, negative whatever you want to call it, causing us to keep it going, and so that way fights feel like as if they're life-threatening and they're going to end everything inside of us and our relationship will never be close again. First, we want to get to that triggering effect. What causes us to get in the cycle? For me, it's when I feel frustrated from an external place and I try to call my wife and she doesn't answer. My behavior is I'm getting critical of her. And then we're gonna go into partner two, so my wife's side, and we're gonna go into her primary emotions when I'm feeling critical of her. Because my behavior, you know, and an example of whatever your triggering event, it could be critical, it could be attacking, it could be any of those things that you do. Remember, behavior is something that you do. And then we're gonna go to my wife's primary emotion. Not secondary, but primary, the one that you know makes her feel everything. And her primary emotion when I'm being critical of her is unloved, unwanted. And then we're gonna go down to her secondary emotion. Because I'm being critical of her, she's feeling unloved, she's feeling unwanted, she's gonna start getting angry, or she's gonna be aloof. You know, whatever it causes you from that step one to go to step two, that's your secondary emotion, because all those emotions are generally caused by something else. That's why we call them secondary emotions. And then her perception of the situation is, oh, he's a horrible husband. Like, what is she thinking? Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Wow, how dare he, right? That's what she's thinking. And then we're gonna go to her behavior. And her behavior, what do you think it would be? Take a guess, I'm here. You're right. I didn't hear you, but I could hear you. Her behavior is gonna be, you know what? She's gonna be attacking back, or she's gonna be critical of me, like, you should be, and then she's gonna say things, she's gonna do things. Like, oh, you know what? You should know what you're doing. I thought you were the man, you know, type of thing. She doesn't really say that. But that's a behavior that she could do. And then that's gonna make me go to my primary emotion. Oh, she's attacking me because, oh, I'm not a man enough. Oh, now I feel unloved, I feel unwanted, I don't feel respected. Then it's going to my secondary emotion, which is anger. For most men, it's gonna be, you know, our secondary emotion is gonna be anger, but it could be other things. It could be jealousy, right? So we're gonna go to our secondary emotion, and then we're gonna go to our perception. What are we thinking? And now, because of all of this, what I started, by the way, I go to, well, man, you're not even doing a good job as a wife. That's my perception, all right? And then my behavior is gonna go back to, instead of being critical, now I might add on attacking. And then we just keep going around and around in a circle. All because I decided to enter this with a behavior, with a thought, with a feeling that wasn't appropriate. And so let's figure out your list. So I'm gonna put this up on the screen, you know, I did mine, and then I'm gonna give you a little bit of time to do yours. Like pause the video if you need to, so you can figure out what is going on with you when these triggering effects happen. Because when they happen, it's hard to think about them in the moment because you don't have practice, right? Just like a professional athlete that practices. You know, you're not Allen Iverson. You don't need practice. And we're talking about practice. Well, right now we are, because you need practice.
And we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we're talking about practice.
Because you're not professionals. If you're professionals at this stuff, you wouldn't need any practice either, just like AI. However, because you are not a professional at dealing with relationships, at dealing with problems with someone else, especially someone you love, who you trust, who you feel so closely bonded to, it's gonna cause a lot more hardship. And so because you're not an expert, we're starting off with the basics so that way you and your partner can have a better relationship. So go over those 2 parts, figure out what's on your side, and if your partner's with you, willing to do this, figure out what's on their side. If it starts an argument, I guess great ability to write down what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're doing. We'll save this for part 2 on how we get ourselves out of this negative cycle, because it's a lot easier to get ourselves out when we can identify we're in a cycle. Because right now, your goal is to identify you're in a cycle. How can you identify it? By knowing the parts. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, comment, especially comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts and what's going on with you. And make sure you stay tuned for part 2 of how we focus on getting out of this negative cycle. That's gonna be a pretty good one. So thank you again so much, and I'll see you all later in the next one. Snack that smiles back, goldfish.